Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Gordon. We are back with another video. Today, I'm talking about why Bittensor TAO is possibly the biggest asymmetric opportunity in the entire world right now. Not just even crypto, I'm talking about opportunities for where you can put your capital to work for you with asymmetric upside. As always, if you enjoy the content, please make sure to smash that thumbs up button below, hit subscribe, hit that bell notification icon. You've got a free copy of The Rise of Bitcoin waiting for you in the description of this video. Grab that below and let's talk about TAO's asymmetric upside. Okay, so kicking things off, obviously I've been covering Bittensor TAO a lot on the channel over the past year, and if you're not already familiar, you need to understand the asymmetric upside I'm about to outline is really all to do with subnets and how the subnets are operating on the Bittensor network. Again, I've done lots of videos on subnets explaining the subnet architecture, how all of these individual subnets on the Bittensor ecosystem, all 128 of them at this moment in time, are competing against one another, essentially trying to earn as much emissions from TAO as possible by providing AI to the network as a whole, and then getting rewarded in the 7,200 TAO tokens that are up for grabs every 24 hours. We actually have the first TAO halving event happening in about 46 days after the recording of this video, where the reward will be cut in half by 3,600 tokens, meaning there's only going to be 3,600 TAO tokens up for grabs every day. 46 days from now, that is a separate video in and of itself, guys. But basically, you need to understand that the subnet architecture and the way that subnets are contributing intelligence and competing against one another is what is the creation or the underpinning of this asymmetric opportunity. Okay, let's outline why this is such a big deal. Again, right now, TAO's asymmetric upside is summarized by these three key points. First and foremost, when you take on exposure to any subnet alpha token, just like I was mentioning, all of these individual subnets have their own alpha tokens. The DTAO upgrade that happened in February of 2025 means that every single subnet has its own alpha token, limited in supply, similar to TAO, at 21 million subnet alpha tokens. There's only going to be ever 21 million TAO tokens in circulation. There's only ever going to be 21 million alpha tokens for each individual subnet in circulation as well. And because alpha tokens are denominated in TAO, you're staking your TAO to receive alpha tokens. So once you begin to understand how that is actually happening under the hood, you can see the asymmetric upside opportunity here, because from staking your TAO into individual subnet alpha tokens, you earn staking yield. The staking yield on many of these subnets at this moment in time is phenomenal. If I jump over to taoyield.com, we can see some of the staking yield even on the biggest subnets, like Shoots. Literally the largest subnet is 100% APY. This means if you hold this token, you're going to have double the amount of subnet alpha tokens 365 days from now from earning 100% APY on Shoots. Ridges is paying about 50% APY. Liam paying about 134% APY, Targon 132%, Gradient's paying over 400% APY, and the list goes on. 330% for Affine, 236% for Hone, 268% for Bitmind. These APYs are phenomenal, and it means simply by holding and having exposure to these subnet alpha tokens, you're earning every hour, every day, every week, more and more subnet alpha tokens. And all of these subnet alpha tokens are denominated in TAO terms. But obviously, as the value of TAO fluctuates, the value of the subnet alpha token does so as well. And so this is what I mean by the staking APY. From owning these individual subnet alpha tokens, you're earning those phenomenal staking yields. All you have to do is have those alpha tokens in your wallet, and you continue to accrue staking yield from the validators every day, every week, every month. Point number two here is outperformance versus TAO. Okay. Like I said a moment ago, all of these individual subnet alpha tokens are denominated in TAO. I'm going to use Bitcast as the example for this particular video, but looking over at Bitcast on TAO stats right now, you can see the price of the Bitcast subnet alpha token is 0.016 TAO per subnet alpha token. And because the value of TAO today is sitting right around $384, that means the value of each individual Bitcast subnet alpha token is $6.25 at this exact moment in time. Obviously, the dollar price of TAO affects the dollar price of Bitcast, but because Bitcast is denominated in TAO terms, Bitcast subnet alpha token has the potential to outperform TAO on a percentage basis. Okay, if I'm looking at this chart and we just go back to June of this year and measure this outperformance, you're looking at the price of Bitcast subnet alpha token at the end of June to today. It has outperformed TAO by 575%. What does that mean? Well, that means that if you were holding just one TAO worth of Bitcast subnet alpha token at the end of June, it would be worth more than 5.75 TAO today simply from having that exposure to Bitcast. Okay, this is a way that you're going to be able to multiply your exposure to Bittensor TAO. And because we've got a 21 million hard cap limited supply, you're going to be able to have some phenomenal outperformance if you pick the right subnets. Again, not every subnet is going to outperform TAO, just like Bitcast. You're going to see other subnets that underperform versus TAO and other subnets that just go sideways versus TAO. But again, remember, you're earning the staking yield where you're continuing to multiply the amount of alpha tokens you have. And if the TAO dollar price increases in dollar terms, even if your subnet alpha token just moves sideways against TAO, you're going to be seeing dollar value appreciation. So Bitcast in this particular example has outperformed TAO by 575% over the past 4 months. Again, looking at that means we've gone from a price of 0.0023 TAO per subnet alpha token to 0.0162 TAO per subnet alpha token, a 575% outperformance. Okay, this is the thing that gets me excited about this asymmetric opportunity. And you have to be able to do the research to pick and choose the specific subnets that you think have fundamental potential in the future, and then see them outperform TAO on a percentage basis. And obviously, point number 3 here, I've already alluded to it, but the TAO price increase in dollar terms, especially as we see the next 6 to 18 months after the halving event that's coming up in December of 2025, I'm anticipating TAO increasing in dollar terms over the next 6 to 12, 18 to 24 months. And then if you can see those subnet alpha tokens even staying at parity with TAO, you're going to see some huge increases in value. Okay, let's look at a practical example here of what this could look like if we see and put together all of these three core pillars of the TAO asymmetric upside formula. Okay, I'm going to use Bitcast again for this particular example, but today, again, this TAO price is a little bit higher. I did this example just a few weeks ago when TAO price was ever so slightly lower, but let's just use these numbers for the sake of the video. You'll understand the example as we walk through it. Okay, let's say the TAO price today is just under $340. It's a little bit higher, it's $380 at the time of recording here, but remember, all subnets are priced in TAO. Just like we saw a moment ago, Bitcast is priced at 0.0162 TAO at this moment in time, which is just over $6 at the time of recording this video. Okay, the Bitcast staking APY. Again, remember, if you earn or just hold the Bitcast subnet alpha token, you're going to be generating phenomenal staking yield. Right now, the 30-day APY is 136%. You can be earning this yield simply from holding the subnet alpha token. Okay, what does that mean? Well, it means over a 365-day period, you're going to double, if not more, the amount of subnet alpha tokens that you have exposure to with 136% APY. In this example, I'm saying that we could start with 2,000 Bitcast subnet alpha tokens, which is going to cost you around $12,000 at this moment in time. Or if you want to measure things in terms of TAO, that's equal to about 35 to 36 TAO tokens as of today's prices. Okay, so starting off with an initial $12,000 investment, taking on exposure to 2,000 Bitcast subnet alpha tokens. Okay, remember, this point is key because by taking on exposure to 2,000 Bitcast subnet alpha tokens, you're going to be earning and generating this 136% APY. Okay, like I said, in 365 days, you'll more than double the amount of Bitcast subnet alpha tokens that you have, going from 2,000 Bitcast subnet alpha tokens to 4,000 Bitcast subnet alpha tokens. Okay, let's also work in another assumption. Let's suppose the Bitcast subnet alpha token outperforms TAO on a percentage basis and goes to a price of 0.088 tau, i.e., roughly a 5x outperformance from today's prices. Again, this is not off the table over a 365-day period, given the fact that Bitcast has already outperformed tau by 575% in just the past 4 months. Again, it is a big ask, but you're going to see a handful of these different subnets outperforming tau substantially over the coming years and moving up in terms of their tau pricing. Okay, assuming that we get just a 5x outperformance over the next year, for example, that means the price of the Bitcast subnet alpha token would go to 0.088 tau. You multiply this by the 4,000 Bitcast subnet alpha tokens that you're holding, you now have 352 tau when you only started with 35.5 tau. That is a 10x in the amount of tau that you have because you've earned over 100% in staking APY, and you've also done 5x outperformance versus the tau price. The final cherry on top of all of this is when we bring it back to denominate it in US dollar terms, because again, we're supposing that the tau price in the kind of 6 to 12 to 18 months after the halving event is going to increase in US dollar terms. Again, conservatively, I think it would be fair to say tau could get to somewhere around 1750 US dollars per token in the 6 to 18 months after the halving event. And if we go from today's prices around $340 up to 1750, what does that mean? 1750 multiplied your new tau stack of 352 tau gets you to 616,000 US dollars. And again, remember, we started this entire example with just $12,000 of capital. Okay, 606 divided by 12, or 616 divided by 12, is equal to a 51x in terms of growth, in terms of ROI on your US dollar initial investment. That is a phenomenal return. And that's why I'm talking about tau being the biggest asymmetric opportunity on the entire planet right now, because you've got the perfect formula with staking APY, you've got outperformance for subnets versus tau, and then you've also got the tau price potentially increasing in the immediate aftermath of this first halving event, and potentially some parabolic price action. The formula here for the subnets that do ultimately end up outperforming tau on a percentage basis pave the path for a phenomenal ROI on your original investment. There's so few people that truly understand this opportunity. And in my opinion, we're going to be looking back here in a few years and thinking, what crazy returns that we were able to get. So that is the opportunity at hand, guys. That is why I wanted to share the asymmetric upside. You can plug in any specific subnet into this equation and think about running the numbers for yourself. Again, plug in some conservative numbers. I think tau could actually go much higher in US dollar terms. We could even see Bitcast outperforming more than a 5x compared to tau. And again, this staking APY is variable. So you have to understand that's going to fluctuate over time as the subnet grows and contracts. And you have to factor that in as another variable. So check it out, guys. Run the numbers for your own subnets. Think about the opportunity at hand and think about that asymmetric upside. That is it for today's video, guys. If you got any value at all out of this asymmetric upside deep dive into Bittensor TAO, please make sure to smash that thumbs up button below. Let's do it right now. Just take 3 seconds under my finger on the screen, smash that thumbs up button, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, grab your free copy of The Rise of Bitcoin in the description, and I'll catch you in the next one.